You could ask her. Can't we land there this afternoon? Asked Julian. No, not if you want to see the wreck, said George. We've got to get back for tea today, and it will take all the time to row round to the other side of Kieran Island and back. Well, I'd like to see the wreck, said Julian, torn between the island and the wreck. Here, let me take the oars for a bit, George. You can't do all the rowing. I can, said George. But I'd quite enjoy lying back in the boat for a change. Look, I'll just take you by this rocky bit, and then you can take the oars till we come to another awkward piece. Honestly, the rocks around this bay are simply dreadful. George and Julian changed places in the boat. Julian rowed well, but not so strongly as George. The boat sped along rocking smoothly. They went right round the island, and saw the castle from the other side. It looked more ruined on the side that faced the sea. The strong winds come from the open sea, explained George. There's not really much left of it this side, except piles of stones. But there's a good little harbor in a little cove, for those who know how to find it. George took the oars after a while, and rowed steadily out a little beyond the island. Then she stopped and looked back towards the shore. How do you know when you are over the wreck? Asked Julian, puzzled. I should never know. Well, do you see that church tower on the mainland? Asked George. And do you see the tip of that hill over there? Well, when you get them exactly in line with one another, between the two towers of the castle on the island, you are pretty well over the wreck. I found that out ages ago. The children saw that the tip of the far-off hill and the church tower were practically in line, when they looked at them between the two old towers of the island castle. They looked eagerly down into the sea to see if they could spy the wreck. The water was perfectly clear and smooth. There was hardly a wrinkle. Timothy looked down into it too, his head on one side, his ears cocked, just as if he knew what he was looking for. The children laughed at him. We're not exactly over it, said George, looking down too. The water's so clear today that we should be able to see quite a long way down. Wait, I'll row a bit to the left. Woof! Said Timothy, suddenly, and wagged his tail, and at the same moment the three children saw something deep down in the water. "It's the wreck," said Julian, almost falling out of the boat in his excitement. "I can see a bit of broken mast." "Look, Dick, look." All four children and the dog, too, gazed down earnestly into the clear water. After a little while they could make out the outlines of a dark hulk, out of which the broken mast stood. "It's a bit on one side," said Julian. "Poor old ship. How it must hate lying there, gradually falling to pieces." "George, I wish I could dive down and get a closer look at it." "Well, why don't you?" said George. "You've got your swimming trunks on?" "I've often dived down." "I'll come with you, if you like, if Dick can keep the boat round about here." "There's a current that is trying to take it out to sea." "Dick, you'll have to keep working a bit with this or to keep the boat in one spot." The girl stripped off her jeans and jersey and Julian did the same. They both had on bathing costumes underneath. George took a beautiful header off the end of the boat, deep down into the water. The others watched her swimming strongly downwards, holding her breath. After a bit she came up, almost bursting for breath. "Well, I went almost down to the wreck," she said. "It's just the same as it always is, seaweedy and covered with limpets and things." "I wish I could get right into the ship itself. But I never have enough breath for that." "You go down now, Julian." So down Julian went, but he was not so good at swimming deep under water as George was, and he couldn't go down so far. He knew how to open his eyes under water, so he was able to take a good look at the deck of the wreck.